Hello, hello, hello everyone. Hello and welcome to the new moon in Pisces intention setting practice for the 17th of March. And so welcome everyone. Most of you know me. For those of you who don't, I'm Phaedra. It's nice to meet you. I'm the astrologer and the artist behind Mystic Physic Astrology. And I use Western Sidereal Astrology to help you reconnect with your soul purpose and remember why you came. And so with the broadcast that we do, the Sidereal Insights, Astro Updates, the new and full moon, guided intention setting and releasing practices, my aim is always to provide guidance to you on how we can use, consciously, intentionally, right? Use the energy of the transiting planets to affect our lives in a positive way, in the direction we want them to be affected. So that's the goal. New moons bring opportunities for initiation. And what we have going on right now with this particular new moon is Mercury retrograde, which makes it maybe not so much of a wonderful time for an initiation. And so what we want to do is be mindful of that. We want to be cognizant of that. And we want to find ways that we can work that energy into what we do with tonight's new moon, since normally we're setting intentions and making initiations during the new moon. But welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to have you here. So what I'm going to do with tonight's broadcast is jump into what house this is happening in by rising sign. So if you're new to the broadcast, you'll want to make a note. You'll want to know what your sidereal rising sign is. You'll want to make a note as I come to your sidereal rising sign, what house this is and what the themes of that house are. And that way you'll know where to be watchful in life and maybe where to concentrate your energy in terms of the intention setting practice that we're going to be doing this evening. But I will run through those by rising sign, and then we'll get into what the archetype and the themes of Pisces is, and then we'll explore ways that we can put that to use and combine that energy with the Mercury retrograde that we've got just getting underway in order to kind of maximize this particular new moon opportunity. Okay, so let's jump right in. For Pisces rising, this is going to be your first house new moon. So image and appearance, identity, self-expression, kind of your personality and the role that you play in the world. So Pisces, first house, we already touched on that. So Aries, this is going to be for you a 12th house. So seclusion, privacy, the unconscious mind, that sort of thing. Also work that you might do with institutions of seclusion if you work with like schools or hospitals, nursing homes, that sort of thing. For for Taurus, this is going to be an 11th house new moon. So an opportunity in your friendship sector or an opportunity with an organization or an association. It's good to have you on, Jonna. Thank you for joining us. If you have Gemini rising, this will be a 10th house opportunity for you. So 10th house new moon opportunity. And for Cancer rising, it'll be 9th house. So, 10th house for, if you have Gemini rising, is career, fame, recognition. It's also achievement and awards. And then for Cancer, 9th house is long distance travel. Okay, so long distance communication, legal matters, religious matters, higher education, those can also fall under 9th house. If you have Leo rising, this is going to be an 8th house new moon for you. Let me double check here. Yes, 8th house new moon. So other people's money, things like loans and taxes, that sort of stuff. If you have Virgo rising, this is a 7th house new moon. So an opportunity related to business or marriage partnerships or your relationships with other people in general. Jonna says, hi, I have to do bedtime for the kids, but I will try to get back. That's okay. We were a little bit delayed getting started, Jonna, because I had a mix up with my notes. I somehow got notes from the wrong place that mixed in with tonight's note for the live stream. So get back when you can. There's no rush. But we can always catch up at that point in time. So for Virgo, we said this was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th house partnership, right? That's right. Marriage and business partnerships and relationships with other people in general. That's exactly what we said. So Libra, 6th house, work, health, pets, daily routines, employees if you have them. For Scorpio, this is going to be 5th house. So creativity, children, love and romance, hobbies, things you do for pleasure, and risk-taking ventures. Okay. And then for Sagittarius, this is 4th house, so home, family, or real estate. 4th house can also govern parents as well. So keep that in mind. And then for Capricorn, this is a 3rd house new moon. So that's going to be travel that's local to you, communication relatively nearby. It can be siblings, your neighbors, cousins, extended family, basically. And of course, communication falls under the 3rd house. And then for Aquarius, this is going to be a 2nd house new moon opportunity. So earned income and possessions, also expenses. And then for Pisces, we're back around to the beginning. 1st house. Sorry about all that confusion. But thanks everyone for being patient with me. And I'm going to go back to my original notes, take a second look at them, and make sure there's not anything else in the way causing a problem. Because that's where all my notes about Pisces are. And that's what we really want to talk about tonight. So let me scroll back up. Oh yes, so I had notes from the full moon in Leo. That is the confusion right there. Okay. And I have them mixed in with my notes about Mercury retrograde and my notes about the Pisces new moon. This is funny. Only Mercury retrograde could that happen, huh? Well, I will double check. That's what I get for starting my notes like a week and a half ago and then not finishing them. Well, I have them on my mind, right? I guess I shouldn't do more than one writing project at one time, which is what I was doing today. So with Mercury retrograde, let's talk about that a little bit because it's going to flavor our intention setting tonight. So normally the new moon is where we want to set our intentions, write them down, do our visualizing, kind of start generating our plans so that when we're ready to take action at the first light of the new moon, which is usually in a couple of days, then we're able to take steps with intention. We know exactly what we're doing and to what purpose. Now, Mercury retrograde is generally not a good time to start things because they're not going to work out necessarily the way that you plan. Usually something will come up or something will go awry and you'll end up having to deal with that. So what I like to do with the new moons when we have Mercury retrograde is kind of work that into our intention setting so that we're not tripping over it. And so with this particular Mercury retrograde that starts on the 22nd, just in a handful of days, when it really gets underway, it's going to be here in Pisces. It's going to be affecting us in a very, I want to say a very spiritual way. Now, that's not the only way that's going to affect us, but that's for me, that's what comes across as being one of the strongest influences of this Mercury retrograde while he's in Pisces, is that it's an opportunity for a reprieve. It's an opportunity to initiate a new beginning where we have a clean slate, where we have a fresh start, maybe where we're turning over a new leaf. So we're not necessarily trying to start something brand new, but maybe we're trying to have another go at something we started once already that we just haven't quite taken it where we want it to go. So it's a chance to go back and maybe give it another shot and see where we can take it, okay? So that's kind of what I want you to focus on as we look at what our Pisces themes are. And so for our Pisces, let's have a look at this. Pisces archetypes and themes. So Pisces archetype is that of fantasy and dreams, right? It's the great abyss, I guess you could say. It's fantasy and healing and compassion. It's karma and mystery. It's also inspiration. So, for instance, like to breathe life into, or to breathe spirit into. It's unity and completion. It's the end of the circle, right? The end of the zodiac, the last sign. But there's a pacifism to Pisces, and a dreaminess and an escapism. And it's also a theme of decay and decadence, so the end of the cycle, right? Pisces has a spirit of selflessness to it, and sacrifice or martyrdom, but also Pisces is responsible for addiction, right? And denial of reality. It's where we go to escape. It's opposite Virgo, which is the energy of realism. And so Pisces, it's almost like a rejection of that realism, right? Where it's where we go when we can't take it anymore, when things just get to be too much. We want to run away to Pisces, right? 12th house. It's the final sign of the zodiac. It represents the completion of that circle and kind of a return to the earth. The clay of the flesh is returning to the earth so that it can be reborn into a brand new life in the sign of Aries, which represents the newborn. Okay, and so I want to explore this selflessness and sacrifice notion this evening, and also healing and compassion. Okay, and then a little bit inspiration. We're going to explore that too. So grab your pen and paper. If you joined us late and you did not have a chance yet to figure out what the house and themes are for your rising sign, just let me know what your sidereal rising sign is in the comments, and I can look that up for you. But let's take a look at our prompts. So in terms of Mercury retrograde being an opportunity for reprieve, for forgiveness, which allows us to initiate a new beginning, for confession, which allows us to have a clean slate, right? For turning over a new leaf. So take a moment to think about what project or journey or goal that you've been working on where you may need to go back and work for a fresh start. Okay? Related to, especially if there's something like that related to the house that this particular new moon falls in for you. So I want you to explore, how can you turn over a new leaf and get a new result? Where is it that in life you need to start with a clean slate? Do you need to ask for forgiveness? Do you need to forgive someone or something? Is there an issue around forgiveness here? Or do you have a confession to make? Maybe this is about a secret that you've kept that you're just ready to let go of keeping. Maybe it has to do with that. Are you hiding from something in your life? What is it you might be hiding from, and how can you begin showing up? And in what way can you be of selfless service to your fellow man? How can you show unconditional love? And then finally, our last prompt, how can you breathe new life into this area of your life? How do you find inspiration? Where do you find inspiration? What inspires you? And how can you bring more of that into your life to breathe new life into this part of your chart where Pisces falls? Okay, these are the things I want you to think about, and I want you to write down on your paper. I'm going to write down in my book what it is you are ready to do differently this time around. Let me see if I can back up to a page. It's the right page to write on. This is where I do my intention setting writing. And of course our releasing stuff gets burnt, but all my intention setting stuff goes in this book. And today's page says, "The moon has a face like the clock in the hall. She shines on thieves on the garden wall, on streets and fields and harbor quays, and birdies asleep in the forks of the trees." And that is by Robert Louis Stevenson. There we go. So real quick, I'm going to run back over our prompts. Okay, so keeping in mind we're looking for opportunities for fresh starts, new beginnings, clean slates. How can you turn over a new leaf to get a new result? Where do you need to start with a clean slate in life? Do you need to forgive someone or something? Or do you need to ask forgiveness? Or do you need to forgive yourself? Do you have a confession to make? Are you hiding from something in your life? What from, and how can you begin showing up? In what way can you be of selfless service to your fellow man? How can you show unconditional love? And how can you breathe new life into this area of your life? Where do you find inspiration? So I want to take a few moments and think about those prompts and write down what it is you intend to make a fresh start in at this new moon. Okay. I think I'm just about ready. I hope everyone else is too. If not, just let me know that you need a few more minutes. I'm just going to kind of read through the prompts one more time and see if I'm not overlooking something. Okay, so I'm actually doing this one. Am I doing it for my sun sign this go around? Trying to remember. Yeah. No, I'm doing it for my rising sign. So I'm doing this for my rising sign this go around. Okay. So this is what happens when I work too far ahead on the sidereal monthly horoscopes. I get way off track of what day it actually is and what month we're actually in. It's really bad. But thank you guys for bearing with me through our snafu early on. So this, with the new moon in Pisces, for me, this happens in my 10th house, right? So of course, it's going to happen when I'm going to have a goof on the broadcast for you all to get a good chuckle over while we're live. So I know exactly what this particular new moon is for me especially in terms of in Pisces in the 10th house. So I've been wrestling with the website with the membership plugin for months now. It doesn't quite do what I need it to do. It doesn't quite do what I want it to do. I've tried a lot of different ways to have things set up. And especially trying to be aware and open to having it easy to use for all of you as well. And I'm pulling my hair out. It's not making the cut. And so I have been doing some research on other plugins that I can use to handle the membership aspect of what's going on at the website, so that when you register and you log in, you have access to whatever content that is free that you've signed up for, and also for your, your downloadable content and any content like that you may have purchased that's downloadable, right? So I want to make it easy for you guys to access all that, and easy to navigate, and easy for me to manage on the other end of things. And so I think I'm going to make a switch. I think I'm going to switch to a new membership plugin. And I've been thinking that this particular Mercury retrograde is probably the best time for me to make that effort, especially looking into what it's going to take and what is that process going to look like, and how easily does that membership information transfer over to a new plugin. So I'm going to have some work cut out for me, I'm sure. But this is, I think, the right time to jump in before we get much bigger. I mean, we're a good size now, but I'd like to make this change and get everything kind of situated just right before we grow too much bigger, because I wouldn't want it to be any more complicated. And so that's what I wrote down, that I was ready to make a fresh start with the membership site, that I'm ready for a membership site that works for me and works for the members. and that allows us to grow the readership at the website and the membership consistently over time, which would be awesome. And right now, we can't do that with the way things are set up. And I wrote that I can breathe new life into this project by finding a plugin that meets all of our needs and taking the time to make the transition from what we're doing now to a new way of doing things. And so this is what I'm going to be focusing on for this particular new moon. So it is kind of a revamp and a reboot of something that I've already been working on, and it does directly impact my career, my professional life, my professional responsibilities, which is maintaining this content on the website in a way that's easy for us to use, and especially for you, the reader, to use. But if you would share in the comments, so I know that some of what we touched on was kind of personal, and you probably won't necessarily want to share all of that, but here's what I'm thinking. So the very last prompt, the prompt around breathing new life into this part of your life, this area that Pisces occupies, right? So if you would share what it is that you're turning to for inspiration to breathe new life into your life, or a project, or an endeavor, or anything that you've got going on, and whatever it is you're focusing on at this new moon, share that in the comments. I would love to see if we could share our sources of inspiration for making transformative change in our life. And I invite you to share what inspires you in the comments today as well. And I don't think I have any new announcements. We're still working on the April full horoscopes by sign. We're finishing up the last couple of signs before we can get them up on the website, but they're coming soon. The April overview with short reports is already available on the website. So if you are a subscriber to the Sidereal monthly horoscopes, if you get advanced access to that, you can read the April overview plus short reports now. You don't have to wait. And as soon as I have the April full horoscopes by sign ready for you, you'll be able to read those too without waiting. You won't have to wait until April gets here to read them. So, but thank you everyone for joining me, and thank you for taking the time to participate in this intention setting practice. It's very special. It's a very wonderful way to consciously use what's going on astrologically at the new moon, and again with our full moon practices as well, to very consciously use that energy in a way that moves your life forward. And so I thank you for joining me for that part of our practice, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks so much. Bye.